There are transmissions that clarify mysteries, transmissions that confirm theories, and then there are transmissions that break everything. Transmissions that force scientists to freeze mid-sentence, stare at monitors in silence, and ask themselves whether humanity has just crossed a line it was never meant to cross. Voyager 2, drifting alone through the deep vacuum for more than 46 years, has just sent one of those transmissions. What came through the Deep Space Network this time wasn't like the plasma hums, the solar echoes, or the interstellar shocks we've heard before. This transmission carried patterns, structured, layered, rhythmic pulses buried inside the faintest whisper of radio energy traveling more than 12 billion miles through the void. And what's worse, this new signal arrived after Voyager 2 lost contact for 7 months, after NASA realigned the antenna against impossible odds, and after every instrument on board had already been pushed far beyond its intended lifespan. It came at a time when Voyager should have been silent. It came from a place where no spacecraft has ever remained stable. It came from a region where even the sun's influence collapses and the galaxy's true environment begins. And the tone of the mission team says it all. Voyager 2 did not just send data. It sent something that feels like a warning, a whisper, or a message from deep space itself. Tonight, we travel from the launch of the twin probes to the moment this new transmission reached Earth, and uncover why this single fragment of radio energy has left NASA terrified, fascinated, and unable to explain what Voyager 2 has truly encountered. Before we can understand the transmission, we must understand the origin of the machine that sent it. And that origin begins with an alignment so rare it occurs only once every 176 years. Back in 1965, when space exploration was still more dream than discipline, Gary Flandreau, a graduate student armed with nothing more than a pencil and an instinct for orbital mechanics, stumbled upon a cosmic configuration that would change human history. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, the 4 giants of our solar system, were slowly drifting into a perfect gravitational staircase, a configuration that would allow a spacecraft to leapfrog from one world to the next using each planet's gravity like a celestial slingshot. This alignment would compress what should have been a 30-year journey into just 12. When NASA realized what Flandreau had discovered, the agency pivoted its entire strategy and began quietly building 2 machines that would use this once-in-a-lifetime corridor to escape the solar system entirely. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were born from that cosmic window, built to ride gravity like a ladder and reach worlds no eyes had ever seen. What no one understood at the time, however, was that this alignment also placed the Voyager probes on trajectories that would push them deep into the interstellar medium, into regions where the sun's influence collapses and only the galaxy's raw environment remains. The same alignment that made the Grand Tour possible also made this transmission possible. Voyager 2 launched on August 20, 1977, a modest-looking spacecraft wrapped in gold-colored insulation, powered by plutonium heat, and guided by computers that today have less memory than a digital watch. And yet it became one of the most accomplished explorers in human history. It survived Jupiter's radiation storms, Saturn's rings, and the eerie frozen deserts of Uranus. It became the only spacecraft in history to visit Neptune, flying past its sapphire atmosphere and watching the great dark spot swirl beneath methane blue clouds. Along the way, it discovered new moons, rings, volcanoes, nitrogen geysers, extreme winds, and mysteries that astrophysicists still struggle to explain. Then, as its cameras were shut down and its last images stored on its aging tape recorder, Voyager 2 crossed the boundary where the solar system ends the heliopause and entered interstellar space. Since then, it has relied on the Deep Space Network to whisper signals across a distance so immense it takes 18 hours for its messages to reach Earth. But the story does not end there. As Voyager 2 drifted deeper, its power began to fade. NASA shut off heaters, switched off instruments, and sacrificed non-critical systems one by one just to keep the probe alive. Even so, in 2020 the spacecraft fell silent for 7 months, vanishing into the void. When NASA finally restored contact, Voyager 2 behaved in a way no one expected. Its data was inconsistent, its orientation inexplicably corrected, and the first strange anomalies began to appear, anomalies now resurfacing in the new transmission. Voyager 2 didn't just explore planets, it revealed entire worlds that rewrote science. When it reached Jupiter, it transmitted images of swirling storms and iridescent clouds larger than Earth itself. It watched lightning explode across Jovian nights, and its cameras captured Io erupting with volcanic fire, the first active volcanoes ever seen beyond Earth. At Saturn, it slipped through a gauntlet of icy particles, surviving impacts from ring debris moving at thousands of miles per hour. It flew past Titan and detected an atmosphere thicker than Earth's, hinting at chemical mysteries scientists still debate today. At Uranus, the coldest and strangest of the giants, Voyager 2 found rings, discovered 10 new moons, observed a tilted magnetic field, and glimpsed a world knocked sideways by ancient cosmic violence. Then came Neptune with winds screaming at 1,000 mph, storms the size of continents, and Triton, a frozen moon erupting nitrogen geysers 5 miles high. These encounters revealed a solar system alive with violence and complexity, but they also taught NASA something else. The deeper you go, the stranger the physics becomes. And once Voyager 2 crossed the heliopause, everything the spacecraft observed, plasma, magnetic fields, particle density, behaved in ways scientists were not prepared for. Decades later, those same regions now appear connected to the unexpected transmission. Before Voyager's cameras were shut down forever, Carl Sagan convinced NASA to turn Voyager 1 around and capture a final portrait. A mosaic of the inner solar system seen from 3.8 billion miles away. One frame contained our entire world, a tiny speck suspended in a sunbeam so small it could be mistaken for dust. The pale blue dot. After that moment, the Voyagers went dark. No more photographs, no more color, only sensors and radio signals transmitting data across the silence of space. Voyager became blind but not silent. It continued drifting outward, sending reports of cosmic rays, magnetic fields, and plasma density, signs of interstellar space itself. But as the years passed, those reports became harder to interpret. Instruments weakened, tape capacity shrank, and errors increased. Manuals written in the 1970s became the mission team's only lifeline. Then, after nearly half a century of travel, Voyager 2 began transmitting something that defied technical explanation. A repeating pattern, a faint structured hum, and measurements unlike any known behavior of interstellar plasma. At first, it seemed like a glitch, then it returned, then it grew stronger. And in its most recent transmission, something entirely new appeared, something NASA cannot classify. Once Voyager 2 left Neptune behind, it approached a region scientists had theorized for decades but had never directly observed. The heliopause, the outermost boundary of the Sun's influence. Here, the solar wind finally collapses under the weight of the interstellar medium. Models predicted a gradual transition, but Voyager 2 found chaos. Pressure waves slammed into the spacecraft, charged particles surged unpredictably, magnetic fields twisted in violent, unexpected directions, plasma density spiked beyond anything NASA considered possible. And disturbingly, the transition was nothing like what Voyager 1 observed years earlier. The boundary was thinner, sharper, and more active, as if something had disturbed it. That asymmetry didn't make sense. Now, after the newest transmission, scientists are reconsidering the possibility that Voyager 2 did not simply cross a border. It crossed into something's territory. Once Voyager 2 officially left the heliosphere, it entered pure interstellar plasma, material untouched by the Sun for billions of years. NASA assumed it would be quiet out there, but that assumption shattered almost immediately. Voyager began detecting a hum, a constant, low-frequency vibration echoing through the plasma, too steady to be random, too controlled to be turbulence. It pulsed and shifted in ways that suggested underlying rhythm, almost like a distant engine idling in the dark. This was structured, layered, almost organized. The farther Voyager traveled, the clearer the hum became. Over the years, its frequency drifted, changed, and responded to unknown fluctuations. And now, in the most recent transmission, that hum shifted dramatically, as if something in the interstellar medium had awakened, moved, or responded to Voyager's presence.